Hi guys, today I'm going to be putting Halford's advanced car cleaning products to the test, and I was a little bit unsure whether I should be filming this one today because within the detailing community the words Halfords are incredibly forbidden because pro detailers tend to think that Halfords don't care about the professional and they just focus on the domestic market. However, recently things have started to change with their brand, and when you look outside the detailing community, these are actually getting some high praise. So in today's video, I want to find out what these are like, not just on a professional level, but also a beginner's level.
Last year, I featured Halford's Essential range, which was their budget brand, and it turned out to be not so great in my opinion. So, can the advanced range be any better?
Let's dive in and take a look at everything we've got. So we're going to start off with the 2-in-1 wheel cleaner. This changes colour when it comes into contact with any iron particles on your wheels. Now, being a pH neutral formula, it is very mild, but mild isn't necessarily a bad thing. pH neutral means it's going to be safe on all wheel types. So if you have heavily baked on brake dust, there's only so far this is going to get you. Ideally, you're going to need something like an alkaline cleaner or an acid-based cleaner, but on the flip side, they can potentially damage your alloys. Anyway, let's move on with the citrus pre-wash. Now, this also happens to be a pH neutral formula along with the snow foam and the shampoo. So you can see there's a bit of a theme going on here. Halfords want to make these products idiot-proof, which means anybody can use them with any skill set without the fear of causing damage on your car. I'm intrigued with this one because it is a ready-to-use formula, which is not something we see every day with a pre-wash. Most of these brands sell them in a concentrated formula, which allows the detailer to dilute them down to a level where they're going to be satisfied. So hopefully this one's not going to be too weak. Now, I'd like to bring this snow foam to your attention because I think what Halfords have done is genius. Having snow foam in 2.5 litres really does make sense. Now, I feel that that's a smarter move than putting them in the 500 mils. Why do you ask? Well, most of us end up using way more snow foam than we ever should. And don't say you don't, because we're all guilty of it. Now, the thing is, when you have 500 mils, you're going to use up most of that after about 4 or 5 washes. However, with this, it just feels like you're getting better value for money because it's going to last longer. And then they've been very clever with the name. Instead of just calling it snow foam or pH neutral snow foam, they've called it high performing snow foam, which gives it a psychological edge over all the other snow foams in store. If you've got 5 different bottles, all of them just saying snow foam, and only one of them says high performing snow foam, I think I know which one I'll be going for. And again, it's the same story with the shampoo. It's not just a car shampoo, it's a high performance one, which it makes it feel special. And we'll get to the packaging later on, but we've got a few more products to go through. But I just feel that they are on the right track here. What they're doing is they're selling something to the beginners where the beginner's going to feel highly confident that they can get a good result on their car and they feel that they're using a professional product. We then have a road tire remover, very handy this time of the year because we've got an abundance of potholes everywhere. And when it comes to protecting the car, now I had a few options here. I could have gone for a foaming sealant or a quick detailer. I've actually gone for the quick detailer, and they have got a ceramic detailer as well, but I've gone for the simplest product to use because if you are a beginner, you may not have a foam cannon. Even if you have got one, you may not want to rinse out the snow foam afterwards. I've got a quick detailer. It's a simple spray on, buff off after you've dried the car.
And to finish off my selection, we have a tyre dressing and an upholstery cleaner, which we will be looking at in more detail later in the video.
So these are the products, there's the car. The weather outside is a little bit gloomy today, but do you know what? These are perfect conditions for the test. Let's go.
Recently, we've had the usual winter weather, wet, windy, freezing with a hint of vitamin D. But today it was surprisingly warm for a December's day. So this Audi Q3 had the usual muck along the lower third, and white cars make great test subjects. So if ever there was an opportunity to see how good these really are, then this is it. Before getting started, it's essential to be organised and topped up ready to go. There's nothing worse than being unprepared, and it adds more time onto the clean. One thing that shocked me was immediately just how thick the consistency of the shampoo was. In fact, it was so thick I had to use a wash mitt to get the remaining residue out of the cup. I'm starting off with the Reactive wheel cleaner, and normally I'd never just leave the camera running in real time. But on this occasion, I'm leaving every second in. because I want you to see for yourself just how quickly this chemical reacts with the wheels, because I was pretty shocked to see such a rapid change. One thing I will say is the smell wasn't too terrible, and for those of you who are familiar with fallout removers or 2-in-1 wheel cleaners, you will know that they have that stinky eggy smell which sticks to your clothes, so the fact I didn't smell like a radioactive fart was a real plus for me. As we're coming up to 40 seconds of dwell time, you can clearly see it turning a dark purple, which is a sign it's reacting with the iron particles. But let's not forget something here. Just because it's turned purple, it doesn't mean it's cleaning the wheels. That's just the fallout remover tackling the iron. It's not a sign of it attacking the dirt. Or is it? Let's find out. I managed to remove the light dirt, but there were many marks on the wheels still, so I decided to lightly spray them over one more time and then introduce a wheel mitt with some Halford shampoo, just to see whether we could shine these wheels up. And on a positive note, you could instantly feel how slick the wheel cleaner combined with the shampoo was, because both were thick formulas, so the wheel mitt glided over the alloy and it took a matter of seconds to achieve a fairly good result. I wanted to experiment with just spraying the insides of the barrels and relying on the rest of the wheel to be sprayed with a pressure washer. And by doing this, I could see how much of the work my pressure washer was doing over the wheel cleaner. And you can see it removed a fair amount, but there's no denying if you wanted to get proper results, you really need to use a combination of the cleaner, a wash mitt or a brush, and the pressure washer.
So you can see the colour change isn't quite as effective when you're trying to spray it onto a surface that's got water on, because it's just struggling to stick to it, so it's not going to be able to pull out much of the iron particles, but we can still use it as an assistant to help get these wheels clean.
I feel this wheel cleaner was really impressive, not just from a professional level, but also for beginners who may lack the confidence. I didn't see anything I didn't like about it. As long as you use it alongside tools like I have here, and you don't just rely on the spray alone, then I have no doubts a good number of you will be pleasantly happy with it. If you want to use this wheel cleaner to its full potential, then just make sure those wheels are nice and cool. Otherwise, the results may be slightly different. Moving on to the pre-wash, and I wanted to start off by seeing what it would be like on the tyres. And I wasn't holding out for a miracle here, because normally to give a tyre a deep clean, you need something a little stronger than a pre-wash. But, much to my amazement, this was better than I expected, and it was the same story for the arches too. For this part of the test, I was keen to compare the difference between rinsing the car with just water against the pre-wash. And to the untrained eye, this may look similar for both sides, but when you look close, you can really see there is a significant difference. So what this means is you're reducing the risk of scratches because you've broken down the dirt. Was it mind-blowing? No, but we have to remember this is a ready-to-use formula, so they have to compromise on strength to suit everybody's needs. I personally prefer having a concentrated mixture that I can dilute based on my own needs, but as a method for making life easier, this was definitely a good chemical. If you're a beginner, you need to remember these results you're seeing here are based on my skill level, so I know how to get the best out of a pre-wash based on the conditions that I was working in. Once I was satisfied with the pre-wash, I could jump onto the snow foam. And based on the previous two products, I was looking forward to seeing what this could do. What I did was allow the car to slightly dry out, because ideally you want the snow foam to cling onto a dry surface to get the best results. But a word of caution here, if you leave cars to dry, you do run that huge risk of water spotting. So it was a little bit easier for me because I've been doing this for a long time. Now, one thing I will say is the foam will always come out different depending on your foam cannon and the pressure washer. With this nozzle, it was producing thick foam, maybe slightly too thick, so next time I will dial it back a bit more. However, in terms of stability, it was holding on for the long run. I mean, this foam was clinging on for dear life and not letting go either, which is what you want from any type of snow foam. When it came to rinsing the car, I felt a little bit disappointed because I felt it didn't really bring anything else to the table, not from what I could see on this occasion. What I mean is, I didn't really see where it broke down more dirt, but this was a first attempt on a white car, and I still have more than 2 litres available to test. The rain clouds looked like they were heading in thick and fast, and speaking of thick, it was time to try that high-performance shampoo again, which on the wheels was a pleasure to use with the wheel cleaner. But now I wanted to see what it would be like in the final step in the wash stage. My first impressions were very good, lots of stable suds, the scent was really nice, and I was highly confident this would clean up beautifully. Ah yes, the British weather doing what it does best whenever you wash a car. Thankfully I could get the Audi out of the rain and into the new studio ready for the drying stage. As always, I'm using my favourite gold label towels to quickly soak up the water, and if you haven't seen my video on these I will leave a link in the description below. With the car looking wonderful I could jump onto the road tile remover, and the first thing I noticed with this was the lack of overpowering smell. Normally these chemicals linger on your clothing, but just like the wheel cleaner I didn't experience much of that at all. I just hoped it wouldn't be a sign of being a weak product. And thankfully it wasn't, to be fair. One thing I regret not doing sooner was testing the wheel cleaner on the bodywork, as I could see some iron spots in the paint, which is something this chemical cannot remove. My next test for the Halfords Advanced range would be to see whether it could clean up my car mats. So I pulled out the filthiest one and gave it a quick vac to remove the loose dirt. I then sprayed the mat and allowed it to soak for a couple of minutes before grabbing a Fibre King scrub pad. All I had to do was give it a scrub using the stiffer fibre sides of the pad, and then it came up really well. Now I wouldn't say it removed everything, because with driver's mats you always find there's a trampled down spot, but everything else came up with no effort. And this merely took me a matter of minutes, so I was counting this one as a win. If there's one thing I love in this industry, it's a quick detailer, because I like the simplicity of spraying and buffing and protecting in a matter of seconds. Halfords recommend that you spray and wipe immediately, and what I noticed was a stunning glossy finish. However, it was annoying that I couldn't see how this would perform on darker paint, but I guarantee I will be using these very soon, so ideally I want to test them out again in warmer conditions. For me, the biggest test of any of these will be the tyre dressing, and many people love that wet glossy appearance, and I can't say that I'm one of them. I much prefer matte finishes, but I was understanding if they chose to go down this glossy route. It seemed very thick, so I wouldn't say that it glided over the tyres, and my first impressions were a bit unsure, but take a look at what happens after 48 hours.
And as you can see, these tyres look incredible, but it's not just the tyres that look good. The entire car looks pretty stunning in my opinion. And when we went into this video, let's be honest, I didn't exactly have the highest of hopes, because I've tested the Essentials range in the past and they were below average at best. I mean, they were just terrible, in fact. Now, the thing is, what Halfords have done is they've been very clever. They've done their homework on Autoglym. They know that Autoglym have a hardcore fan base. They know that they're the best sellers on their website. And when you put the products next to each other, out of the 8 products that I've tested, I would say 7 of them are actually better. If we can take a look at the packaging just for one moment, because I feel what Halfords have done here is terrific. It's clear, it's easy to understand, and it talks the language of a sensible person. Now the thing is, Halfords did this weird collaboration 2 years ago with Yanamize, and it just didn't work. They weren't selling many units. But I feel part of that was to do with the whole branding of their image, because when you looked on the shelves, you had Yanni, who's a vehicle wrapper, not a car detailer, and then he was dressed as if he was going on holiday, and to make matters worse, he looked really angry in that photo, as if he was pissed off at EasyJet for losing his luggage. So when Halfords applied all those mistakes and they go, right, we're not going to be doing this next time around, you can kind of see why these are flying off the shelves. All in all, I was really impressed, but I still feel there's more testing to go. Now, it was a couple of months ago, I tested probably one of the cheapest pressure washers in the world, and it came from Temu. I paid just £12 for it, but that pressure washer surprised me in so many different ways. To find out why, you can go and watch this video right here.